Okay, so today's topic is float bowl style small engine carburetors. And first, this is a Hand carburetor off a 1983 Honda CR80R. I'm going to explain to you how your idle works, a little bit about tuning, your choke, how the slide works, and how the fuel gets sent into the system. So I guess I'll start off with the Hand carburetor. And I'm just going to explain everything on the outside first. Right there, that's your throttle slide. That's what regulates the air mixture going into the engine as well as the fuel. And I'll explain how that works later on. This is your choke. Pretty much what this does is when you pull it up, it just allows more fuel into these style of engines. This is off of a 2-stroke. And it's not like the butterfly kind of choke, which I know a lot of people are familiar with. Right here, this is your idle screw. Turn that in more, and I know this one's pretty far out, but the more you turn it in, that more that's going to lift. You can see how you can see right through to it now, through the slide, because the slide has lifted up, allowing more air and fuel into it, increasing the idle speed. And as you turn it down, you see that slide lowers. I guess first off, we'll start off by taking out the slide. And yes, you did notice that just popped off because there is a spring in there. This is the cap. Let's put that there. Normally the cable and all the slide and everything would just come out. So this consists of the cap, the spring, and then this piece, which I'll show you in a minute, that holds that little spring down. And this is the needle. And as we get further into the video, you will know that what the needle's purpose is. I'll tell you right now, it's to allow the fuel in, the fuel that's going through this inlet into the bottom of the carburetor bowl. That is regulated by the float and a needle and seat. Meanwhile, when this goes up, there's a hole, as you can see there, going down where the needle goes in. And as it's being pulled up, you can see this needle has a tapered edge. And that tapered edge is what's stopping the fuel from coming in. And as it's being pulled up, it gets to a point where fuel can start going through. And that's how your idle works. This is actually a smart design. Your idle actually works because the slide does two things. With having that needle there, it regulates the fuel, and with the slide here, it also regulates the air. Because the more that the slide opens, the more air that can go through. So when you're cranking your throttle, say the slide's down here at idle, when you pull up on your throttle, it's going to be up here. So as you can obviously see, so to put this part back in, you have to line it up with the two slots. This actually is for the idle, and this one lines up with the slot on the barrel here. And just line those two up, as well as lining up the needle at the same time. You can just turn it around there. See, it's set in. So as you're cranking the throttle, what I was saying before, you see this opens up. And remember how that has a tapered edge? The fuel comes in at the same time that you're giving the throttle. So it also allows the air, because you can see when the slide opens up, this would be the part that's hooked onto your engine. The engine's sucking in the air and the fuel, and that's how it gets the air as well. So that's how that works. Now I guess we'll take off the bottom here. Obviously these will probably, if these have been taken apart before, they're gonna have that stripped syndrome. You guys can probably see what I'm talking about there. See, those are not regular shaped Phillips anymore, are they? Let's take this off. And this carburetor's been sitting for about 3 years. See, the bowl comes off just like that. And this is the jet, but the jet's not from this carburetor. As you can see right here, there's a gasket going around to seal the bowl, with the rest of the carburetor. And this right here is your float. This should be the jet, but this jet isn't from this carburetor. So as you can see, this is your float. These have air in them, and the carburetor sits like this. And when it fills up with fuel, you know how air is lighter than liquid, it lifts up the float. And if you can see right there, I might have to refocus the camera. If you can see right in there, you'll notice that needle there. And that needle, as the float's going up, that needle is actually hooked up to the fuel inlet. And it goes in and it comes out through here. And when there's no fuel in the bowl, it's basically down like that. And the fuel goes through that needle and into the bowl. And as the bowl starts filling up, so the floats go up. And once the floats go up, that needle, it has a rubber end, it shuts off the fuel pretty much. It doesn't allow any more fuel to go through the inlet and stop, and it basically just stops the fuel from coming in. Now when you have an overflow issue, you either have to adjust this little metal flap right here, push it more up, because the carburetor will be sitting like this, obviously. Push it up more, and that can help stop it from overflowing, or you have to replace your needle in your seat. And 99% of the time, when you have an overflow issue, you do have to replace your needle and seat. So while your fuel is coming into your carburetor, and your carburetor is getting full, your engine is always running, sucking in fuel and air, and that's where your idle comes into. No matter what, there's always going to be fuel coming from the bowl, going into the engine, as well as air. And pretty much it just stabilizes itself to a point where it's going to have enough fuel to keep the engine idling. And as you can see, here's your slide once again. That goes into there. Let's just get this lined up. And there's that needle again. See? And it's in the bottom end. That's where your main jet comes into play, and you can switch out the jets to add for a leaner or a richer mix. And like I said, this isn't the right jet for this engine, so I apologize for that. But anyways, as you can see, when you pull more, when you give it more gas, pretty much that comes up, and the tapered edge will allow the fuel to go in through there. And that's pretty much how your carburetor works. Now I'm going to reassemble this, and I'm going to tell you guys how adjusting it works. So now I'm going to teach you the basics of tuning. You can see I don't have this fully reassembled, but that's because this needle on the slide also comes into play when you're tuning. Now this right here is your fuel and air mixture screw. On these carburetors, the more you turn it clockwise, so you're turning it in, the more you turn it in, it gets richer, and the more you turn it out, it gets leaner. And this is a Hand carburetor off a 1983 Honda CR80R. The stock tuning for this, which is in the Climber manual, is 1.75 turns counterclockwise from completely in. So let's say you're messing around, whatever, you don't know what the stock is, you just turn it all the way in, and then 1/2, 1 full, 1.5, 1 in 75. So then you're back to stock. So that's how that works. So again, the more you turn it in, the richer it gets. The more you turn it out, the leaner it gets. And earlier on I said that these also have a play in richness compared to leanness with the needle. And let me just grab a pair of needle nose pliers. In there you're going to notice a little clip. You're going to want to take your needle nose pliers and pull that out of there. Now don't break that or lose that, and then your needle can come out. And if you look really closely there, you can see those notches with the clip. Now you can remove this clip and put it down, up or down the notches as you wish. The lower you go, the richer that the mixture is going to be, because you're not allowing as much needle to go down and stop the fuel, as if the needle would be sitting up higher. When it's richer, it'll allow more fueling. So that's how that works. So I've explained to you the basics of how a float style carburetor works, and a little bit on tuning. There still is more to tuning a 2-cycle dirt bike engine than just this. So I hope this video helped you guys. Thanks for watching. And yeah, pretty much if you're having an overflow issue, check that needle and seat and adjust the lever a bit, see if that helps. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe. And this was another video by Pimpin' Pens. Peace out guys.